This video is about numbness in the foot, or maybe numbness down the leg, maybe a little pain down the leg, or pain in the butt, especially if you've been sitting for a long period of time. So what could be the problem? Now, I got an email from someone who said, well, I know you're a carpal tunnel specialist, but I have numbness in my foot, and I went to a doctor and they diagnosed me as having peripheral neuropathy, but they didn't give me any suggestions. Basically, what the doctor told them was they had a numb foot. And I guess said live with it, I don't know. But there's several reasons why you could have numbness in the foot. There could be a medical reason, such as diabetes, or there's several medical things that could be wrong. Or brain tumor, stroke, or probably that's not you. Or if that's not you, there could be a problem in the vertebrae, a bulged disc or a pinching of the nerve for some reason or other. And that's what doctors look at first usually. But there's another reason that's often overlooked, and it's not that uncommon really, and that's a tight piriformis muscle. And my name is Hilma Volk. I'm the creator of Carpal Tunnel Master, and you can find links to that in the description. Now, the piriformis muscle is a deep muscle within your gluteus maximus, which means it's deep in your big butt muscle. And it goes from your sacrum to what's called the greater trochanter, or else your hip bone. And where it touches the bone, it's a lot shallower. Otherwise, it's a pretty deep muscle. And it's an outward rotator, meaning it rotates your leg outward. And the trouble is the sciatic nerve passes underneath that. And in maybe 10% of the people, the sciatic nerve actually goes through the middle of that muscle. And anyway, when it's tight, it can pinch on the sciatic nerve, which can cause a false sciatica. It might just cause numbness in the feet, or pain or numbness down the leg. It might come and go. It might be worse when you're sitting, especially if sitting for long periods of time, like in a car or whatever. Now, there are several ways to stretch your piriformis muscle, and if properly, they all do the same thing. I'm just going to show you one method of sitting in a chair. The other methods are sitting on the floor or laying down on the floor, and there are videos on YouTube that show that. But I think it's a little easier just sitting in a chair. Now, you want to cross the leg that's affected over top your other knee and pull forward, but just pulling forward is not going to do it. This is an outward rotator, so you want to rotate inward. And at the same time, then you lean forward, and you want to feel the stretch right in there. Now, any stretch you do, you never want to force a stretch. You want to stretch to the edge of comfort. How long do you stretch? 30 seconds is good, and you want to stretch 3 times. The first one could be less than 30 seconds, but the reason you want to do it 3 times is the first time you stretch, a muscle is going to resist the stretch. It's going to make sure that you're not hurting it. And once it's assured of that, because muscles are full of nerves, and nerves want to protect that muscle. So the second time you'd stretch, you can usually stretch a little further, and the muscle has relaxed a little bit. And the third stretch is usually your best stretch, but all 3 of them hold 30 seconds, maybe a little shorter on the first one. Now, self-massage is to use a tennis ball. Some other balls might work, but a tennis ball is just about the right size. A golf ball is way too small. And if you don't have a tennis ball, obviously you can find them in sporting goods stores, or any place that sells a lot of dog food, like a grocery store. They usually have a section with toys for dogs, and it won't call it a tennis ball, but it's basically the same thing. Although I was looking in our grocery store and I saw not only these size, but kind of miniature tennis balls, which are probably for smaller dogs, and they weren't much bigger than a golf ball, so you don't want that. You want a regular sized tennis ball. Even a dollar store often has a section for dogs, and it might have a dog paw print on it or something, but it's basically a tennis ball. Now you could go up a little bit bigger, like a baseball or something, but that might be a little big, but that'd work if you didn't have a tennis ball. This is kind of a hard foam ball. I don't know where I got it. I couldn't even tell you where to get it, but that works well too, so you might want to look in a toy box, see what the kids or grandkids have. And what you want to do with it is you want to lay down on a surface. And depending on how tight your butt is what kind of surface you want to lay on. And I do not recommend against a wall for a couple reasons. One, you want your legs to be relaxed, and you can't relax your legs when you're standing on them. And the other thing is, if you're against a drywall, you could, if you push hard enough, you could dent the drywall, and I don't have a video on how to fix that. So laying down, you want to lay on the tennis ball. Now you might want to start out with laying on a bed or something soft like a couch and seeing how tight you are. And you want to relax the whole gluteus muscle first. Now you can roll back and forth on it, you can roll around on it, you can lay on it at different places at a time. But where the piriformis is, it's a little bit higher up, and if you find a place where, oh, yeah, it's really tight, that's probably it. But it's good to loosen the whole gluteus maximus up first. I hike a lot, so my butt muscles get pretty tight. But if you've got more squishy muscles, maybe a harder surface would be better for you. So you can lay on the floor on a carpet or a mat, or if you don't have a mat, you can fold up a blanket. It's whatever surface is going to be okay for you. And I really can't demonstrate that because basically all you'd be seeing is me laying on something and you wouldn't know what I'm doing. But that's a good way to massage that. How long? Well, it depends how you feel. You know, when I was doing massage, I would work on people's butt. I would usually go over top of sheet because there was no purpose for using lotion there. And, you know, first I would warm up the butt first by doing kneading. It's called petrissage. And then I would go deeper. And the funny thing about muscles is I was a deep tissue specialist. And people think, oh, that's painful. Well, it shouldn't be. Muscles are full of nerves. And if you go deep hard at first, a muscle is going to tighten up. Muscles are full of nerves. They want to protect the muscle. And they've got their own intelligence. They're not going to recite Shakespeare or anything, but they know when to protect your muscle, and it's just going to tighten it up. And it's going to feel bad. If you go hard, you can bruise it. So what you want to do is play nice to the muscle and work on it easy. And then once the muscle loosens up, and you can feel it loosen up if you're a good massage person, then what happens is, in fact, this is what I believe happens, because this is what I was told happens, is your nerves release endorphins. And once the endorphins kick in, then the muscle just goes, ah, and you can go a lot deeper without pain. If it's really tight, it's probably not going to loosen up the first times you try it, so you want to do it several times a day, maybe a couple times a day for several days in a row, or even longer. Get that muscle nice and loose. What you want is a muscle that when you lay on the tennis ball, you're not feeling any tenderness from the tennis ball at all. And like I said, some people have the nerve going through the middle of the piriformis muscle. Now, if laying on that tennis ball causes lightning down your foot, or you don't want to do that, you might want to go back to the stretches. And like I said earlier, this is only one possibility of what's wrong with your numb foot. Could be coming from your back, but this is something to explore. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Love to hear from you. This is Hilma Volk. Thank you.